Stepping into 2026, everyone hopes their luck will finally turn around. But from what I have observed over many years, good fortune often begins with clearing out what has been building up. Not only the visible dust, but also the heavy, invisible energy that can linger in your living space. Sea salt, with its crystal structure formed through a natural crystallization process, has long been seen as carrying strong yang energy with the ability to absorb and neutralize stagnant, stuck energy. When you place it in the right spot and use it the right way, salt works like a simple but effective filter, helping the space feel lighter, more open, and more stable. In today's video, I'm going to share a very simple but effective method for cleansing energy using sea salt. And if you are dealing with any other issues, go ahead and leave a comment and tell me what is happening in your home. I will read them and pick the most common situations, then share specific ways to handle them in the next videos. Now, let's get into the main content. 2026 is associated with thuy, meaning water from the heavens, the image of heavy rainfall that moves powerfully and is hard to predict. The heavenly stem bin belongs to fire. The earthly branch, no, also belongs to fire, while the element of the year is water. That creates an internal fire versus water clash, signaling a year with lots of movement, fast changes, and sudden turning points that can show up unexpectedly. In terms of overall energy and momentum, this is a year where things shift strongly, which suits people who are willing to change direction, refresh the way they think, and clear out old foundations. However, because the outward fire energy is quite strong, people can become impatient and make emotional decisions if they cannot stay steady on the inside. If you want to go far this year, what matters most is balancing your emotions, controlling your pace, and actively regulating the energy field in your living space. Sea salt and how it works with energy. When people talk about using salt to cleanse a space, a lot of them think it is just an old folk trick. But through the lens of the 5 elements, it is really about creating balance when water is strong enough to calm fire. In a home, fire is not only the stove or light, it is also built-up tension, invisible agitation that can make people irritable, restless at night, and inconsistent at work. When fire energy gets too strong without being kept in check, the overall luck of the home can feel unstable. Sea salt comes from the ocean, so its root nature is water. But once it crystallizes into a stable solid, it also carries a metal quality. That crystal structure helps it absorb and gather scattered, messy energy, so the fire energy is cooled and steadied instead of flaring up. Still, the results depend on what kind of salt you use. Coarse sea salt made through natural sun evaporation keeps its minerals and crystal structure, so it usually has the strongest absorbing power. I often recommend it for cleansing corners of the home, ground-level areas, or spots that have felt heavy for a long time. Pink rock salt from ancient mines feels steadier and more grounded, so it fits better in a bedroom or a meditation space to support relaxation and calmer breathing. Hand-harvested grey sea salt, rich in minerals like magnesium and potassium, tends to regulate more gently, which is better for a workspace that needs steady, long-term stability rather than an intense cleanse. On the other hand, refined industrial salt that has been processed and bleached usually loses most natural trace minerals and has a damaged crystal structure, so energetically, it is not as strong as natural salt. Once you understand that, you will stop choosing salt out of habit and start choosing it based on what you actually need. Cleansing with salt is really a way to rebalance water and fire in the home, so the energy field becomes more harmonious and steady, not just placing something for show. Energy structure of 2026, the Fire Horse Year, based on flying stars and auspicious and inauspicious directions. To make salt cleansing truly effective in 2026, we need to look at the movement of the flying stars. Each year, the stars shift to different directions, creating areas of helpful and challenging energy within the same home. If you place salt in the wrong spot, the effect is limited. Put it in the right place, and you will feel the difference much more clearly. In 2026, the one white star enters the center. This is a water star linked to connections, opportunities, communication, and flexible thinking. In the middle of the home, it leans the year's overall energy toward networking and movement. But because the center is the home's heart, that water energy needs to be supported, not left to weaken. In the center area, you can place a small bowl of lightly salted water to gently strengthen water energy and help relationships stay smooth and adaptable. The biggest thing to watch this year is the 5 yellow moving to due south. I will cover that in its own section below. In the northwest, the 2 black illness star arrives. It is an earth influence tied to health and reduced vitality. If your main door or bedroom is in the northwest, you will want to be extra careful. A bowl of dry salt or salted water can help weaken excess earth energy, keep the area dry and fresh, and reduce dampness, because moisture is what tends to wake up the 2 black. Due west is influenced by the 3 jade star, a wood energy connected to gossip, arguments, and conflict. When wood gets too strong, words can turn into sparks. In this area, use dry salt in a small dish so the metal quality of salt can restrain wood and ease tension. Avoid using a lot of water here, because water feeds wood and can accidentally increase confrontation. Due north has the 7 red star, a metal energy linked to financial leakage, losses, and minor accidents. When it is out of strength, it can behave like a lost star. In this direction, you can sprinkle a thin layer of salt from time to time, or place a dish of dry salt to soften the sharp metal energy. Also, keep the area bright and tidy so you do not activate negativity. Southeast is a more positive highlight, with the 9 purple fire star. It relates to happy events, relationships, and investment opportunities. To help fire grow in a balanced way, you can place a small dish of salt with a bit of dried herbs or a light wood element item nearby, creating the idea of wood-feeding fire. Here, the salt is not for blocking, but for balance, so the fire does not rise too aggressively and make you impulsive. Overall, 2026 blends strong outer fire with inner water, big chances to expand with certain areas that need careful control. When you understand the flying star map and use salt in the right directions, you are actively adjusting your home's energy instead of being dragged around by change. That is how you quietly turn challenges into support in a way that lasts. What the 5 yellow in due south means in 2026. In the fire horse year of 2026, the flying star detail I take most seriously is the 5 yellow landing in due south. 5 yellow is an earth influence and is considered the strongest challenging star, tied to sudden disruptions, accumulated trouble, and unpredictable incidents. This year it sits in the south, a fire sector. In the 5 elements, fire produces earth, which means the south's fire energy can feed the 5 yellow and amplify the difficult effects. From real consultations in years when 5 yellow enters a fire sector, I have noticed that if that area is often noisy, frequently renovated, brightly lit, or has a stove there, problems tend to show up more clearly, like sudden financial pressure, repeated work obstacles, or health dips with no obvious reason. 5 yellow does not always strike loudly. It often creates a heavy, blocked feeling first, then turns into specific events later. That is why placing a salt remedy bowl called nhan thuy in due south in 2026 is almost a must-do protection step, and it should be done early. The idea is to drain the excess energy through the producing cycle. Use metal to weaken earth, then use water to soften and disperse what remains. Coarse sea salt represents crystallized water. Water itself represents moving water, and 6 metal coins represent strong metal energy. With earth producing metal and metal producing water, the extreme 5 yellow energy is drawn out instead of building up. Set up the nhan thuy bowl carefully. First, choose a wide-mouthed ceramic or glass bowl and avoid plastic or metal. Fill it about 2/3 full with coarse sea salt, not refined industrial salt. Then place 6 metal coins on top of the salt. You can arrange them in a circle or in parallel lines, with the side that has characters facing up to symbolize openness. Next, pour clean water in until it covers the salt and just touches the coins. Do not stir. Let the salt crystallize naturally. Place the bowl close to the due south wall of the home in a spot that will not get bumped, away from strong wind or direct sunlight. Do not put it in the main bedroom unless the home layout leaves you no choice. After placing it, try not to move it. If you see salt overflow and crystallize around the rim, that is normal and shows the absorbing process is happening. Do not dump it out halfway unless it overflows too much. If you replace it, wrap it carefully and dispose of it neatly. A good time to place it is early in the lunar year or before the stronger fire months arrive. Once it is active, keep the south quiet and avoid drilling, major repairs, or strong fire items there, like very bright high-power lights or burning red candles constantly. You cannot erase 5 yellow completely, you can only weaken and transform it. Setting up the nhan thuy bowl correctly in the south in 2026 is like creating an energy cushion, helping the household move through a volatile year with more stability and control. And below are 3 sea salt cleansing methods you can use right away. Method 1. Sprinkle salt in the corners and at the door threshold. In feng shui form principles, corners are where moving energy slows down, swirls slightly, then disperses. Because of that gather first, then release behavior, corners can hold on to old energy, humidity, and the heavy feeling that builds up from daily living. If it sits too long, that trapped, stuffy feeling in a room often starts right there. The door threshold has a different role. It is the boundary between inside and outside, where energy flows in and out constantly. Every time you open the door, your home exchanges energy with the outside environment. In a year as changeable as 2026, keeping this area clean and steady matters even more. On the 1st or 15th day of the lunar month, when lunar energy shifts more noticeably, you can do a simple cleansing routine. Use a small amount of coarse sea salt. In each corner, a pinch is enough to lightly cover the floor. You do not need a thick layer. If you want to do the whole home, start with the 4 main corners first, then move to smaller rooms. At the main entrance threshold, sprinkle a thin line of salt along the inside edge of the doorway, like a filter layer. After you sprinkle it, leave the salt for about 24 to 48 hours. During that time, it naturally pulls moisture from the air, and that moisture pulling also helps draw out tiny bacteria and stagnant energy that sits close to the floor. You will often feel it when you walk in. The air feels lighter and more open. When cleaning up, sweep gently, collect the salt into a sealed bag, and throw it away in an outside trash bin. Try to dispose of it the same day, and do not leave used salt sitting around too long. Do not pour it down indoor drains. In energy terms, that salt has absorbed negativity, and sending it through the home's internal plumbing can affect the indoor energy again. If you do this once a month, especially during the stronger fire months of the fire horse year, it helps keep the home's foundation energy stable. It is simple and easy, but when you do it with attention and at the right time, the cleansing effect is very noticeable. Method 2. Mop the floor with light salt water. In feng shui, the floor is considered the home's foundation layer of energy. It is what we touch every day, and it is where energy from the main door settles first before spreading through the house. If the floor holds dust, dampness, or leftover old energy, fresh energy that enters will not circulate smoothly. Many homes look bright and well decorated, but still feel heavy, and the reason is often this overlooked base layer. Mopping with lightly salted water cleans physically and also helps regulate energy near the ground. Salt cleanses, water carries, and warm temperature helps everything dissolve and spread more evenly. The mix is simple. Dissolve about 3 to 4 tablespoons of coarse sea salt in a bucket of comfortably warm water. Stir lightly so most of it dissolves. You can add a few drops of lemongrass or lemon essential oil for a fresh scent, which can lift your mood and make the space feel more open. When you mop, start at the main entrance, the place that receives the home's energy. Outside energy comes in through the door, touches the floor first, then travels through hallways into different rooms. So the main door and hallway should be cleaned more carefully and slowly, moving from deeper inside toward the outside to guide old energy out and make room for new energy. Also pay attention to hidden corners under shelves and under tables, because energy tends to slow down there. A good rhythm is 1 to 2 times a month, or before important moments like starting a new job, signing a contract, or welcoming a new person into the home. After you finish, open windows to let fresh air circulate naturally. You will usually notice the floor looks brighter, your steps feel lighter, and the whole home feels clearer. Method 3. Cleanse with lemon and sea salt. Sometimes you walk into your home and you can feel the air get heavy right away. Work stalls, arguments flare up more easily, or after a certain guest leaves, everyone feels on edge. When you need a fast reset, the lemon and salt method is a quick, emergency way to bring the home's energy back toward balance. Energetically, lemon carries a wood and water feel with a sharp sourness and strong natural acid. On the physical level, that acid helps break down and neutralize bacteria. On the energy level, it symbolizes cutting through and dissolving stuck, stagnant vibration. Salt is water that has crystallized with a hidden metal quality, so it tends to pull in and collect. Put together, lemon helps break apart the bad energy, and salt absorbs and holds it. That is why the effect often feels fast. Use 3 fresh lemons with the stems still on and firm, glossy skins. The number 3 is a yang number, linked to activation and movement. Cut each lemon lengthwise into 4 sections, but keep the base attached so it opens like a 4-petal flower. Sprinkle coarse sea salt into the cuts, just enough so the salt sits inside the wedges. Place the 3 salted lemons on a white ceramic plate. If you are clearing the whole house, put the plate in the living room where energy crosses the most. If the issue is sleep or long-term stress, place it under the bed, close to the center area. Leave it overnight at minimum. You will see the lemons release liquid and the salt turn damp, which is a normal sign the absorbing process is working. The next morning, use gloves or turn a plastic bag inside out to pick everything up and seal it tightly. Throw it away outside the home. Avoid touching the used lemons with bare hands, and do not let the lemon liquid drip on the floor. Afterward, open the windows for a few minutes to let fresh air move through. Use this only when you truly need a quick release. Do not overdo it day after day. After you do it, keep the house tidy, avoid arguing, and keep loud noise to a minimum for a few hours so the energy can settle. Rebuilding personal energy. Salt baths and a protective salt pouch. In the Firehorse year of 2026, besides adjusting the home, you also need to watch your own energy field. Strong fire energy can drain the body, tighten the mind, and make sleep less steady. When your aura feels weaker, you become more sensitive to pressure and other people's emotions. That is why cleansing and strengthening your personal energy is something you should do regularly. Salt bathing is an old body and mind cleansing practice found across many energy healing traditions. When salt dissolves in warm water, it creates a conductive environment that helps release leftover charge and tension built up after a long day. The method is simple, but the amount matters. Men use 7 spoonfuls of coarse sea salt, linked to 7 spirits. Women use 9 spoonfuls, linked to 9 spirits in Eastern folk belief. Dissolve that in comfortably warm bath water, around 98.6 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 37 to 40 degrees Celsius. Soak for 15 to 20 minutes. While you soak, breathe slowly and deeply. Relax your shoulders and neck, and imagine fatigue and heaviness dissolving into the water. If you do not have a tub, shower normally first. Then mix a light salt solution in a basin and pour it from your shoulders down to your feet, with the head poured last. Stand still for a few minutes, then rinse lightly with clean water. Beyond energy, warm salt water can support circulation, ease mild muscle soreness, and help the skin's natural antibacterial defense. But only do this 1 to 2 times a week. Doing it too often can dry out your skin and slightly disturb your electrolyte balance. Along with regular cleansing, if you are out often in crowded or complicated environments, a protective salt pouch can help. It is a small protective item meant to support steadier energy, money flow, and mindset. It is easy to prepare. Use a small drawstring cloth pouch. Red symbolizes fire and can boost drive and initiative. White or grey relates to metal and tends to feel more protective and steady. Put in a small amount of coarse sea salt. You can adjust it based on your personal element in 2026. If you lean wood, keep it simple, with just salt for grounded stability. If you are fire, you can add a tiny piece of wood to keep the wood feed's fire balance. If you are water, add a small metal coin or a small piece of silver, because metal supports water and can strengthen inner resilience. You can keep the pouch in your wallet, purse, backpack, or personal safe. The salt helps neutralize negative vibration around your valuables and your personal field. Replace the salt once a month, ideally on the first day of the lunar month, to start a fresh cycle. When you replace it, discard the old salt outside the home, wash the pouch, then refill it. Keeping your body and personal energy steady is the foundation for receiving good luck. When you are solid on the inside, outside chaos has far less impact. In a strong fire year like 2026, this is a quiet kind of protection that is worth maintaining. Important notes on mindset and energy hygiene. These cleansing methods only work well when the person doing them stays emotionally steady. Salt, water, and any other materials are just tools. What guides the energy is your mental state in the moment. Before sprinkling salt, placing the nhan thuy bowl, or doing any cleansing ritual, take a few minutes to calm your breath. Sit or stand tall, inhale deeply, and exhale slowly. Do not do this while angry, anxious, or in the middle of an argument. The calmer you are, the clearer the flow. You can quietly repeat a short, simple intention for cleansing and peace. The exact words matter less than sincerity and focus. When your intention is clear, the salt crystals act like an anchor that helps hold that intention in the space. One thing people overlook is how to handle salt after it has done its job. Salt used in corners, in mopping water, or in feng shui bowls has absorbed a lot of heavy energy. Treat it like a saturated item. Do not reuse it for any normal household purpose. For the nhan thuy bowl, used throughout 2026, dispose of it completely during the year-end deep cleaning. By then, the salt usually crusts around the rim, the water changes color, and the coins look dull. Put the entire bowl, including the salt, water, and coins, into a sealed bag, tie it tight, and throw it away outside your living area. Do not wash the bowl to reuse it, and do not keep the coins, because they have carried a full year of accumulated energy. When discarding feng shui salt, avoid pouring it into indoor drains or burying it in your yard. Both can keep the energy tied to your property. The better option is to remove it from your living area and dispose of it at a public trash collection point. Stay steady at the start and be decisive at the end. That is a key rule in any energy practice. When you do it properly from beginning to end, the results feel cleaner and you do not leave a negative aftertaste in the space. As we reach the end of this video, here is the one thing I want you to remember. When the outside world feels rushed and unstable, start by adjusting your living space. A home that feels dry, clean, and light will directly affect your mood. And when your mood is stable, your decisions around work and money become clearer too. If you want to feel like you are turning your luck around in 2026, do not look for something far away. Choose a salt method that fits your home, do it consistently, and watch what changes. Often, in a short time, you will feel the difference. And if your home is dealing with a specific issue, like long-term dampness, a stuffy bedroom, a main door that feels like it cannot hold good energy, or just the feeling that things have not been going smoothly lately, leave a comment. I will read carefully and choose the most common situations to break down and guide you step by step in the next videos.